Picture the Georgia heat in late summer, the kind that makes the air shimmer and the gravel stick to your boots. And you got 30 recruits standing in formation, already dripping sweat before the day even begins. Sergeant Marcus Hayes is pacing like a hawk, his voice cutting through the heavy air as he searches for the slightest flaw to pounce on. And then, like a shark spotting blood, he locks in on Private Anna Mitchell, 5'2", blonde hair tucked into a perfect regulation bun. Uniform just a touch too big, like a kid wearing her dad's jacket. He calls her Princess, loud enough for the cicadas to hear, asking if Mommy and Daddy thought the Army would toughen her up. The other recruits shuffle awkwardly, but Anna just adjusts the compression wrap on her right wrist, worn, faded, and marked with a small emblem she hides under her sleeve. It's the kind of quiet tick that says more than words, like when someone touches a wedding ring they no longer wear. Hayes doesn't notice her. Maybe he does and doesn't care because he's already reaching for the weapons rack, where 30 4 rifles wait. And from the very back, like a magician pulling out a rabbit no one wants, he grabs a battered monstrosity with duct tape on the stock, a bent sight, and enough rust to qualify as an archaeological find. "This one's for you," he announces, the kind of tone that's less generosity and more a dare to fail. Some recruits chuckle under their breath, always a risk when the predator's still in earshot, but Anna takes the rifle without complaint. Here's the thing, though, her hands move over it like someone reading Braille, fingers checking the chamber, testing the trigger, cycling the bolt with smooth, almost unconscious precision. Historians still argue whether an old weapon carries the memory of past battles. But if that were true, this rifle must have been surprised to find someone treating it with respect. Hayes, hungry for a spectacle, puts her first on the firing line. Anna moves into position, body settling into the prone stance like water finding its level. 5 rounds, each spaced exactly 2 seconds apart, in rhythm so precise you could set a coffee shop metronome to it. When a range officer checks the target, his face flickers from confusion to disbelief. 5 shots, same hole, dead center. Hayes calls it beginner's luck, but if you've ever seen a fox pretend to be unimpressed after losing a chicken, you know the look. The rest of the recruits take their turns, zeroing weapons, some doing fine, others scattering shots like confetti at a parade. Hayes hovers behind each one, but you can tell his real focus is still on Anna, waiting for that big, satisfying collapse under pressure. When her turn comes for the full qualification end rounds at 100 meters, 60 seconds to complete, the makes a show of betting she won't break 50 points. Nobody takes the bet, but the smirks say they're expecting a mess. Anna loads her magazine without rushing, though a sliver of her shoulder shifts her uniform just enough to reveal a scar perfectly circular, radiating lines. It's the kind of mark you only get from thousands of hours with a rifle stock pressed in the exact same place. She settles into position, eyes closing briefly, breathing deep, not the way a nervous recruit steadies themselves, but like someone flipping an internal switch. When she opens them, there's a focus there that makes the air feel sharper. She mutters a wind call under her breath, numbers and gusts, the kind of thing most recruits won't learn for months. Hayes laughs at the video game jargon, but she doesn't even glance at him. The first shot snaps through the morning, crisp and decisive. Then another, and another 10 in total, all in 15 seconds, paced with the unhurried confidence of someone pouring coffee instead of trying to beat a clock. Historians still debate whether talent is born or built, but right now the rifle, duct tape and all, seems to think it's been paired with its original maker. The range officer's voice cracks as he calls the score, 100 points. All 10 rounds, same hole, dead center. The silence afterward is almost comedic, like the entire range collectively forgot how to blink. Colonel Thompson, who's arrived unnoticed, stops mid-stride. Hayes cycles through expressions like a bad slideshow. Smugness, confusion, irritation, maybe a touch of existential crisis. He demands the target be rechecked, but the range officer returns pale and firm, perfect score, no trickery. That's when Thompson calls both of them to his office, and the walk feels like a funeral march for Hayes' ego. Inside, Thompson slides a photograph across the desk. It's Anna different uniform, high-end rifle, competition backdrop. Hayes squints, then freezes as Thompson explains. Anna Morrison, three-time Olympic gold medalist for world records. Suddenly, the compression wrap on her wrist, the scar on her shoulder, the metronome-like breathing, it all makes sense. She didn't cheat. She didn't get lucky. She's one of the most decorated shooters in American history, hiding under an assumed name for reasons she's not ready to spill. Hayes looks like a man who just found out his rookie chess opponent was a grandmaster the whole time. The truth, once out, spreads faster than a mess hall rumor about free dessert. By the time the recruits assemble in the outdoor yard under the punishing afternoon sun, whispers are already bouncing like ricochets, some calling her a secret agent, others swearing they'd seen her on TV. Thompson takes the podium, Hayes stiff at his side, and lays it out clean. Private Mitchell is Anna Morrison, Olympic champion, world record holder. Gasps ripple through the crowd, and somewhere in the back, a voice mutters, "Holy no way." On cue, a screen flickers to life behind him, showing footage of Anna in her prime calm, focused, shot after shot threading the center. The medals gleam, the crowd cheers, and then the camera cuts back to the woman they've been sweating beside for months, now in dress uniform, walking to the front with the kind of poise you can't fake. She apologizes not for hiding her past, but for not trusting them with the truth sooner. She calls out recruits by name, recalling small acts of kindness, shared rations, help with radio drills, encouragement during PT. Her voice catches when she admits they treated her as one of their own long before they knew her history. And then she looks straight at Hayes. She tells him he was right about one thing: being able to shoot doesn't make you a soldier. These months taught her more about courage and sacrifice than decades of competition ever could. Hayes, in a move that seems to surprise even him, apologizes. Not just for that morning's humiliation attempt, but for 5 months of letting his prejudice steer his treatment of her. He admits the battered rifle she used hadn't been properly maintained in 2 years, and that most trained snipers couldn't have done what she did. Her reply is a soft smile. Every weapon has a personality. You just have to listen. 6 months later, the stories become legend. Anna's now instructing at the Army Marksmanship Unit. Hayes occasionally at her side. They trade lessons like old sparring partners. She tells candidates that skill will only take you so far without humility. He warns never to assume you know someone's full story. On his office wall hangs that duct-taped M4, mounted with a small plaque reading, "Never underestimate." As the day winds down, the sun paints the range in gold and crimson, and they watch new recruits cleaning their rifles, chasing their own aim. Anna thinks about how she came here searching for purpose, and somewhere between the sweat, the insults, and the perfect score, she found it. Not in medals, not in headlines, but in helping others hit their mark one steady breath at a time. The heat has softened now, the evening air settling cool across the field, and the steady rhythm of brushes against steel fades into the background like a lullaby. Anna stands quietly, eyes drifting toward the horizon where the sun melts into a wash of pink and amber, and the shadows stretch long across the gravel. The voices of the day, the shouts, the laughter, the disbelief are gone, replaced by a slower, deeper calm. She feels the weight of a uniform, the faint ache in her shoulder, and the gentle pulse of her heartbeat, as if each is reminding her she's exactly where she's supposed to be. Hayes steps up beside her without a word, his presence familiar now, the silence between them easy. Somewhere behind them, a lone cicada starts up, its song rising and falling in the stillness. The mounted rifle in his office will stay there for years, gathering dust, but never losing the lesson it carries, that strength often hides in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to speak. Anna exhales slowly, a smile tracing across her face, the kind that's more about peace than pride. The path ahead will be long, lined with challenges that medals and records can't prepare her for, but she knows she'll meet them not alone, not as a title or a legend, but as a soldier among soldiers. And as the last light slips away, she lets the quiet wrap around her like a well-worn jacket, knowing that tomorrow will bring more drills, more sweat, more chances to aim true. The night takes the field gently, and the world narrows to a soft breath, a steady pulse, and the unshakable sense of purpose she's claimed as her own.